Let me ask you something uncomfortable. If tomorrow you woke up with 10 million in your bank account, would you tell anyone? Well, if the answer was yes, then I'll just say this. Most people think the rich are loud, flashy, and all over Instagram, flexing their rented Lambo. But here's the truth. The real rich, they're playing a game you've never been invited to. A game they don't even want you to know exists. And today, I'm breaking the silence once and for all. These are 10 things rich people will never admit to. And once you see them, you'll never look at money the same way again. Let's jump straight into it. Number 1. The rich don't look rich. So, first of all, here's the biggest myth that keeps people broke. Thinking wealth is supposed to shine like a diamond. Spoiler, diamonds don't shine. They reflect. And rich people, they reflect the opposite of what you expect. You see a guy in Balenciaga sneakers, Gucci belt, and a $3,000 Coach bag. That's not wealth. That's someone screaming, "Please believe I'm rich." Meanwhile, the quiet millionaire is in a $20 Target hoodie driving a 5-year-old Toyota. Why? Because real money doesn't need validation. Real money doesn't need to introduce itself. Mark Zuckerberg, worth billions, wears the same gray t-shirt every day. Why? Not because he's broke, but because when you're rich, you save energy for money-making decisions, not fashion contests. And here's the kicker. The flex culture actually keeps people broke. That $2,000 chain, that's your emergency fund, melted down and hanging around your neck like a financial noose. Pay attention to what I'm about to say. If you want to be rich, stop trying to look rich. Money grows quietly, not on display racks. But here's the wild twist. Not only do rich people avoid looking rich, they're also hiding where their money actually comes from. Number 2. They don't work harder, they work differently. For centuries, we've been sold the lie that hard work equals money. Newsflash, construction workers break their backs every day. Teachers grind for pennies. Nurses pull 12-hour shifts. If hard work equaled wealth, the hardest working people on earth would be billionaires. The rich, they've hacked the system. They don't sell time. They build machines that print money while they sleep. Seriously, while you're clocking in, a landlord is getting paid by tenants every month. While you're stressing over overtime, a business owner is making sales online at 3 a.m. While you're chasing promotions, an investor is cashing dividend checks. And here's the part they'll never admit. Most rich people didn't get wealthy by grinding harder. They got wealthy by building leverage. All of that to say this. Stop trading hours for dollars. Start asking, how can I make money while I'm not there? That's the difference between broke and rich. And speaking of leverage, the rich have one weapon that multiplies money faster than anything else. Number 3, the rich don't rely on one income stream. Now I want to hit you with a scary stat. 65% of Americans rely on one paycheck. And that paycheck is controlled by a boss who can fire you over a budget cut or because Karen from accounting didn't like your tone in an email. Meanwhile, the rich, they treat income streams like Pokemon. They collect them all. And let me give you a little wake-up call for those in the back. Your average millionaire has 7 streams of income. Investments, real estate, businesses, royalties, side hustles, dividends, even boring stuff like bonds. Why? Because if one dries up, 6 others are still paying the bills. Think about it like this. Relying on one paycheck is like trying to balance on a pogo stick. You fall once, you're screwed. But the rich, they build money chairs with 7 sturdy legs. Even if one breaks, the chair still stands. So basically, I'll just say this. If you only have one income stream, you're not stable. You're fragile. Start stacking streams, even if it's small. A side hustle, a rental, an online gig, something that makes money while your main job keeps the lights on. But anyway, building those income streams takes more than just hustle. The rich have a trick they'll never admit, because it makes their wealth grow while yours shrinks. Number 4, they use debt differently. Debt is the villain in most people's lives. It's the student loans, the credit card bills, the car payment that eats half your paycheck. Most people are owned by their debt, but rich people, they flip the script. They don't run from debt, they weaponize it. So think of it like this. Your neighbor maxed out a credit card to buy a giant flat-screen TV. That's bad debt. The rich, they borrow millions to buy an apartment building. Tenants pay the rent. Rent pays the loan. And after 20 years, the rich own the whole building basically free. Another one. Entrepreneurs use other people's money, OPM banks, investors, even government loans, to build businesses that pay themselves back. Here's the dirty secret. Rich people don't use their own money first. They leverage someone else's money, then let assets pay it off. No matter what people say, just remember this. Debt isn't evil. Misused debt is. Learn the difference. And suddenly, you're not scared of debt. You're steering it like a Ferrari. And speaking of Ferraris, here's the thing the rich will never admit about their expensive toys. Number 5. Luxury purchases come last. Let's face it, Instagram has seriously brainwashed us. Everyone thinks rich people got rich because they bought flashy cars, designer watches, and big houses. Wrong. They bought those things after they got rich. I got an easy example. Shaquille O'Neal tells a story. The first time he made money, he blew $1 million in one day. Cars, jewelry, nonsense. The banker told him, "Do this again and you'll be broke." Shaq learned fast. Today, he invests first, plays later. The rich live by a simple rule: assets before flexing. Broke person buys a $5,000 Rolex with a paycheck. Rich person buys assets that generate $5,000 every month, then uses that extra to buy the Rolex guilt-free. It's not about never enjoying luxuries, it's about timing. Flashing wealth before you've built it is like eating the cake before it's baked. You end up sick and disappointed. My key takeaway is this: earn first, flex later. If you're showing off before you're set, you're not rich, you're rehearsing for bankruptcy. But here's where it gets really twisted. Rich people don't just buy things differently, they even buy time differently. And this next one, it's the silent advantage keeping them ahead of you. Number 6. The rich buy back their time. Here's the harsh truth. Broke people brag about being busy. Rich people brag about being free. Most people wear busyness like a badge of honor. They'll say things like, "I worked 60 hours this week." But if you peel that badge off, it usually just says, "I'm underpaid and exhausted." The rich know something different. Your most valuable currency isn't dollars, it's hours. You can lose money and get it back. Lose time, game over. I mean, think about it. Jeff Bezos doesn't change his own oil. Oprah isn't out here scrubbing her kitchen floors. Why? Because if their hour is worth thousands, doing $15 chores isn't just a waste, it's sabotage. And here's where it gets interesting. Buying back your time isn't only about hiring help. It's also about cutting out low-value habits. Scrolling TikTok for 2 hours a night, that's time you could use to build a side hustle or learn a high-income skill. The rich don't just outsource tasks, they ruthlessly prioritize. If it doesn't make money, health, or happiness, it gets cut. Stop being proud of doing it all. Do less, pay for help, cut time wasters. Reinvest those hours into income-producing moves. That's how you shift from busy to wealthy. And while you're mowing your lawn or binging another Netflix season, the rich are doing something else in secret, hiding their money where nobody can see it. Number 7, they hide money in assets you can't see. Here's the illusion most people fall for. If someone's rich, you should see it. A fat bank account, a flashy car, a giant house on the hill. But the truth, the richest people are experts at making their wealth invisible. Most folks keep their savings in a checking account, maybe a little in a 401k. They brag about having 10 grand in the bank. Like, that's security. But to the rich, cash just sitting there is like leaving ice cream on the counter. It melts. Inflation eats it alive. The wealthy know cash is a terrible long-term home for money. Instead, they hide it inside assets that grow quietly in the background. Let me give you some real examples so you clearly understand. Real estate, apartment buildings, rental homes, even farmland. You drive past it every day, never realizing it's someone's silent cash machine. Stocks and index funds. Boring? Yes. Effective? Absolutely. That boring index fund has turned everyday millionaires out of patient investors. Private businesses. Ever notice that low-key guy who owns 5 laundromats? He's probably richer than the influencer flexing a Rolex. Collectibles and alternatives, art, rare watches, even wine collections. Things that appreciate in value while being nearly invisible. And here's the sneaky part. These assets don't scream wealth. A house looks like any other house. A stock certificate isn't parked in the driveway. Even farmland just looks like dirt. But that's the point. Stealth wealth isn't about being seen. It's about being secure. Think of it like financial camouflage. The rich hide their money in plain sight where it quietly multiplies while you're distracted by who just bought the new iPhone. Bottom line, here's what I need you to understand. Don't judge wealth by what you can see. Start thinking about where you can quietly park your money so it grows without a spotlight. And here's where it gets even more unfair, because once the rich hide their money in these invisible assets, they use the system to make sure they barely pay taxes on them. Number 8, they don't pay the same taxes you do. I think it's about time I give you the gut punch the IRS doesn't want you to know. The tax system isn't broken. It's working exactly the way the rich designed it. And spoiler alert, it's not designed for you. Most people get taxed on their work. Clock in, clock out, get your paycheck, and boom, Uncle Sam takes a chunk before you even see it. That's called earned income, and it's taxed the hardest. The rich, they don't live off paychecks. They live off investments, businesses, and assets, which are taxed at way lower rates, sometimes almost nothing at all. Warren Buffett once admitted that his secretary pays a higher tax rate than he does. Why? Because her salary gets taxed like everyone else's. But Buffett earns through dividends and capital gains, which are taxed less. Real estate investors use depreciation as a tax shield. That means they can earn rental income, but on paper it looks like they lost money, and they pay less tax. Imagine making $10,000 in rent but telling the IRS, "Sorry, we actually lost money this year." The system lets it happen. Business owners write off everything: phones, cars, even coffee meetings as expenses. Employees buy coffee with after-tax money. Entrepreneurs drink it on the government's dime. And here's the kicker. The tax code isn't really a punishment system, it's an incentive system. It rewards behaviors the government wants more of: building housing, creating jobs, starting businesses. The rich figured that out, and they ride those incentives all the way to the bank. So here I'll just put it like this. Don't just complain about taxes. Learn the rules. You don't have to be a billionaire to start playing the same game. Start a side business, invest in assets, take deductions. You're legally allowed to. Taxes aren't fair, but fairness doesn't build wealth. Strategy does. And if you thought taxes were the final trick, think again. Because the rich also have a hidden weapon that guarantees their wealth doesn't just last for them, it lasts for generations. Number 9, they network in secret circles. Look, if you've been watching any of our recent videos, I've said this over and over again. But I need you to drill this in your head because it's that important. Money doesn't just live in banks. It lives in conversations. The broke crowd hangs around people who talk about Netflix shows, celebrity gossip, and man, I hate Mondays. The rich, they're in circles where someone casually says, "I know a guy selling 12 rental properties. My buddy's startup needs investors before it, IPOS. Let's buy this land before the city builds a highway through it." These aren't conversations you'll overhear at Applebee's happy hour. They happen in golf clubs, at private dinners, in country clubs, on exclusive group chat. Like, ever notice how billionaires often co-invest in the same companies? That's not random luck. That's access. They're literally swapping deals over dinner while the average person hears about it after it's already on CNBC. Now that I think about it, even Silicon Valley is built on this. Tech founders invest in each other's companies before the public even knows they exist. By the time you get the chance to buy in, they've already multiplied their money 10 times. And here's the kicker. Most wealth doesn't come from being smarter. It comes from being in the room when the opportunity was offered. Think of it like high school lunch tables. The broke sit at one table talking about jobs. The middle class sit at another table talking about promotions. The rich, they're at the back table planning how to buy the cafeteria. My key takeaway is this. If your circle isn't opening doors, it's closing them. Start shifting into rooms where money is a normal conversation, not a taboo subject. That might mean conferences, meetups, online masterminds, anything that upgrades the table you sit at. But here's the part that stings the most. Even if you build income, use debt wisely, and network like crazy, the game itself is tilted. Because the rich aren't just players in the game, they're the ones writing the rules. Number 10, they rig the game to stay rich. Now, this is the part nobody wants to say out loud, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's about time they get exposed. The game is tilted. And guess who tilted it? Them. Most people grow up thinking, work hard, follow the rules, get rewarded. And that's a cute fairy tale. But the truth, the rules aren't designed to make you rich. They're designed to keep you working for the rich. I mean, just think about schools. Why do schools teach you the Pythagorean theorem, but never how to file your taxes, invest, or buy a house? Because financial ignorance is profitable. If everyone understood money, banks wouldn't make billions off overdraft fees and credit card interest. It even comes with access to opportunities. Want to invest in certain high-yield funds? Sorry, you have to be an accredited investor. Translation: you already have to be rich to access the wealth-building tools that make people richer. And here's the kicker. The rich don't just play the game, they own the casino. They decide which games are even on the floor, and you're just a chip on the table. But before you throw your hands up in despair, here's the twist. Once you see the game, you can stop being a pawn and start playing like a king. The same tax laws, the same real estate loopholes, the same business deductions, they're technically available to you if you're willing to learn the playbook. And I'm sorry to say it, but don't cry that the game is unfair. Every game is unfair to those who don't know the rules. The rich already wrote the playbook. Your job is to read it, study it, and then flip the board in your favor. The bottom line. And now you know the truth. 10 secrets the rich will never admit out loud, but they use every single day to stay 10 steps ahead. To wrap this all up, after everything we discussed in this video, notice the pattern. It's not luck, it's not lottery tickets. It's strategy, leverage, and silence. The wealthy have been using these exact strategies for generations, passing them down quietly while everyone else stays distracted by the noise. They dress down while building up. They leverage everything: time, money, other people's resources. They hide wealth in boring assets while you chase shiny objects. They network in rooms you don't even know exist. They use systems designed by them, for them. But here's what I want you to really understand. These aren't just random tactics. They're a complete philosophy of money that's the opposite of everything you've been taught. You were taught to work hard. They work smart. You were taught to save cash. They buy assets. You were taught to avoid debt. They use it as a tool. You were taught to show success. They hide it. You were taught to do everything yourself. They delegate and scale. And look, I get it. This might feel overwhelming. You might be thinking, great, the game is rigged. What am I supposed to do about it? But that's exactly the wrong mindset. Because now that you know the game, you can start playing it differently. Start small. Pick one thing from this list. Maybe it's building a second income stream. Maybe it's learning about tax deductions. Maybe it's joining a mastermind or investment club. The point isn't to do everything at once. The point is to stop playing by the old rules that were designed to keep you broke. Here's something else the rich understand that most people don't. Wealth isn't built in a day, a month, or even a year. It's built through consistent application of these principles over time. That boring index fund doesn't make you rich overnight. But compounded over 20 years? That's a different story. That rental property doesn't replace your income immediately. But get 5 of them over a decade? Now you're financially free. The rich also know that knowledge without action is worthless. You can watch every video, read every book, attend every seminar, but if you don't actually implement these strategies, you're just an educated broke person. And trust me, there are plenty of those walking around. So here's my challenge to you. Don't just nod your head and move on to the next video. Take one action today. Open that investment account. Start that side hustle. Join that networking group. Make one move that shifts you from consumer to producer, from spender to investor, from employee to owner. Because here's the final truth bomb. The gap between the rich and everyone else isn't closing, it's widening. Every day you wait is another day they pull further ahead. Using these exact strategies, the question isn't whether the game is fair. The question is whether you're going to keep sitting on the sidelines complaining about it or get in the game and start winning. So here's the million-dollar question. Now that you know the rules, will you keep playing the broke person's game or start playing the rich person's? Comment the words, "I'm building wealth," if you're ready to flip the script and build wealth the quiet way. And if you really want to take this deeper, watch my next video on how the rich stay rich forever. Because now that you know their secrets, it's time to learn their laws. The choice is yours. But remember, every day you wait is another day they pull further ahead using these exact strategies you now know. We'll see you in the next one.